Today, I'm back at Motorcar Portfolio in Canton, Ohio to look at this Kaiser Manhattan. Before we take the tour, if you're new to the channel, if you just stumbled upon this channel just by chance, you've hit the gold mine. This channel, we do a lot of orphan cars, a lot of vintage cars that are off the beaten path. If that is what you're into, I'd invite you to hit that subscribe button. Turn on all notifications too so you never miss a video. If you dig this episode, give it a like so that other people can see this video as well. Before talking about the Kaiser Manhattan, let's talk about Kaiser-Fraser Motors. It was established in August of 1945 between Henry J. Kaiser and Joseph W. Frazer. Let's start with Henry J. Kaiser. He was an American industrialist who was known as the father of modern American shipbuilding. Before World War II, Henry J. Kaiser was in construction. His company built the Hoover Dam. During World War II, Kaiser shipyards built Liberty ships. Now on to Joseph W. Frazer. He was an American automobile company executive. Joe Frazer was employed at half a dozen different auto companies as a mechanic, an instructor, a salesman, president, and eventually board chairman. He held down top executive positions at Chrysler, Willys-Overland, and Graham Page. In August of 1944, Frazer took control of Graham Page Motors and became president. Joe announced the company would resume making cars after the war. The new car would be named Frazer after Joe. Joe was in search of financial backing for his venture when he met Henry J. Kaiser. Both Kaiser and Frazer wanted a post-war automobile company, so they decided to work together. Their company was formed, and it was called Kaiser-Fraser. Henry Kaiser became the chairman, while Joe Frazer became president, and they were seen as equal partners. By the end of 1946, Graham Page was hemorrhaging money bad. By 1947, Frazer sold Graham Page to Kaiser, but Frazer kept the farm equipment division. Kaiser-Fraser lasted from 1945 to 1955, and then they merged with Willys-Overland. Some cars that they were known for, the Kaiser Custom 8, Henry J., aka Allstate, was sold at Sears stores. Kaiser Darren, it was the first car made of fiberglass in the USA. Kaiser Manhattan. Okay, getting back to the Manhattan name. It dates back to 1947, but under the Frazer nameplate. It was transferred the Kaiser nameplate in 1952. In 1953, the Manhattan could be had as a club sedan, four-door sedan, or the travel sedan. Sitting at the top of Kaiser's 1953 lineup was the hardtop Dragon, and it had gold-plated, 14-karat gold-plated hood ornament, as well as exterior emblems, fender script, glove box nameplate, had thick carpeting inside. It actually cost $258 more than the Cadillac Series 62 four-door hardtop sedan. Getting back to the 1953 Kaiser Manhattan, it was designed by Howard Dutch Darren and Duncan McRae. Let's talk about options. Options included two-tone paint, 8-tube radio, conditioned air, oil bath cleaner, overdrive for the 3-speed manual transmission, full control power steering, which was a huge feature that they promoted a lot. The braking system was 4-wheel Bendix drum brakes. The front suspension consisted of independent coil springs, tubular hydraulic shocks, along with linkless anti-roll bar, and the rear suspension was a solid rear axle suspended by semi-elliptical longitudinal leaf springs and canted tubular hydraulic shocks. All right, let's go through some specs. Rides a wheelbase of 118.5 inches long, 211.1 inches long, 74 inches wide, weighs 3,400 pounds. The average price when it was new was $2,650, which equates out to you spending $28,535.04 today. There was only 37,000 Manhattans made from 1952 to 1953. They also brought back the Manhattan in 1954 and 1955, but it was a totally different animal by then.
Start driving America's first safety first car. The new 53 Kaiser Manhattan. Only Kaiser gives you the world's safest front seat with 7 new safety features commended by Parents Magazine. Kaiser gives you greater legroom and new safety angle seats to cradle your weight down low. But that's only the beginning of Kaiser's safety engineering, because now Kaiser protects you and your family with a new Safety First ride. It's steadier, safer, with the lowest center of gravity of any American car. So stop taking chances. Start driving America's first Safety First car. It's built for beauty, for comfort, for luxury. But above all, Kaiser puts your safety first.
Alright, just look at this door. See how it's all framed. Armrest. This is the same material as the headliner. Door handle to get out, window crank. Look at this window, look at how it's designed. And I mean, it has to be that shape because that's the shape that it meets with at the top. Vent windows, look how that operates. Okay, onto the buttons, switches, and knobs. Starting at the bottom, the hood release is actually inside the car. Moving up from the hood release is the headlight switch. Pull it out once for the parking lights, pull it out twice for the headlights. High beam switch is on the floor. Okay, moving on to the dash instrument panel. It's a uniscope design, much like the Tucker or say a Nash. The speedometer sits in the center, odometer right below the needle, and then around it is the fuel gauge, the oil pressure gauge, amp gauge, temperature gauge surrounding the speedometer. Let's talk transmissions real quick. So you could have either one of two different transmissions. You could either have the 3-speed manual that was a column shift unit, or this one has the dual range hydromatic. Notice the gear selection positions: neutral, drive, low, and reverse. It's a little bit weird than what we're used to now. All right, moving down to the right-hand side, just below the speedometer sits the key switches for the ignition. Right next to that is the lighter. Right next to that is for the windshield wipers. That chrome handle that is protruding outward is the emergency brake. Right next to it, there are 2 round dials. Those both control vents. Okay, moving towards the center. Right underneath the Kaiser insignia is the ashtray. It pulls out, and then there's 3 more dials. One is for the blower, one's for temperature, and one is for the defroster. Small, tiny clock above the defroster. Here is a quick gander at the glove box. Notice it's pretty decent sized. So just check out these sun visors. I don't know what material that is, but it's the same material that they use for the headliner. It's like a scratchy material. There's no mirrors. Just check out the mirror here. It's all chromed out. So look at this dashboard. Look how it's designed. It's like a, I don't know what kind of material. That almost feels like bamboo. It almost looks like one of those shades that you would put on your porch to block the sun out. It's very thin too. It's not very wide. It's a very unique dashboard. This is what it's like sitting in the Kaiser. Lots of headroom. Lots of room. Here is what the rear door looks like. Here's how far the rear window will go down. So the rear window almost goes the whole way down. There's also a rear vent window, which is super quaint. So that's how that would work. Rear passengers also get an armrest and a big window crank and a door handle. And just check out how much space is back here. This is me sitting in the back. This is almost like a limo. There's a lot of room back here. Notice the courtesy lights are on the pillars. There's a courtesy light here, as well as a courtesy light over here. It's a really nice touch. There's no courtesy lights at the top. Nice ashtray for the rear passengers. It's a lighter, as well as there's how much leg room I have. This car is wide enough that 6 adults could fit in this car. It's pretty big. Okay, we popped the hood from the inside. Now looking for a lever, and I'm pretty sure that this is it right here. It is, it's just heavy. Okay, let's talk about the engine that powers the Manhattan. It was called the Supersonic 6. It was a 226.2 cubic inch displacement, flathead, inline 6-cylinder. The engine used solid lifters. It featured a pressurized oil system for all the bearings, including the 4 main bearings, and a splash lubrication system for the timing chain and the valve tappets. It had a 7.3-to-1 compression ratio. It made 118 horsepower at 3,650 RPMs and 200 foot-pounds of torque, which was a 3 horsepower bump over the 52 model due to improved manifold and exhaust design, as well as a better carb for breathing. Okay, let's talk about pros and cons. As for the pros, exceptional styling, low running costs, smooth road cars. Against it, Tin Worm likes rocker panels and floor pans. Cloth upholstery hard to duplicate. Optional hyperfast power steering needs constant driver correction. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. If you could, please share the channel with anyone you know that likes cars. Let's get the name out there. Let's grow the channel. Till next time, toodaloo!